We are back now with special coverage of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. 6 previous presidents have also had assassination attempts, either while they were in office or as they were on the campaign trail. Former President Theodore Roosevelt was shot while he was seeking re-election in 1912. And like Trump, he was trying to get back into the Oval Office. He was shot on the way to deliver a speech in Milwaukee, which is coincidentally where this year's Republican National Convention will start tomorrow. For more on the historic nature of all this, let's bring in NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss. Michael, it's good to see you. We're living right now through history, right? This is a history-making moment, no matter what happens next. Could I first just get your perspective as a historian on what we witnessed last night and how this might shape the nation?
We witnessed a horrible event. We've had moments of violence in American history. And at our best, and this is so much in our DNA as Americans, we use an event like this to come together. After John Kennedy's assassination, 1963, Lyndon Johnson went to Congress and said, let us use this moment to put an end to the preaching of hate and evil and violence, and remember that we are one people. If that happens now, we can use this event to make our country better.
We're showing on the screen there, Michael, the previous presidential assassination attempts, the most recent being Ronald Reagan. It has been a long time since this nation has dealt with something like this.
It has, and it doesn't mean it's any less distressing when something like this happens. In Ronald Reagan's case, as you know, that was 90 days after Reagan took office. It nearly killed him. People were so impressed with his grace and bravery. And one thing that happened that year was the two parties in Congress worked together for a lot of legislation. And at least for a brief time, there was an era of good feeling. Would be wonderful if we could have that once again.
And from your perspective, how do you think this moment will be remembered and discussed?
Well, we're going to remember this moment looking back on this, and our children will, and our descendants and others, in terms of how it changed history. At its worst in American history, violent events cause terrible cataclysms, such as the Civil War. At our best, we use these moments, as horrible as they are, to just sort of, collect ourselves for a minute and say, where have we strayed from the ambitions of our founders to bring this country together, to have a united nation and a united people? That would be a reassertion of the best lessons in American history.
We are hearing from both sides of the aisle calls for no more, right? Calls to take the temperature down. House Speaker Mike Johnson was on the Today Show earlier saying on all sides, we have to stop inflaming things. Can you see that happening?
I can if we follow history. At our worst, we have instances of violence like this. You mentioned the 4 times that American presidents were assassinated. Gerald Ford was nearly killed twice. And of course, Ronald Reagan. This has happened in history. What really remains for all of us, the test for all of us, is how we react to this. If this makes everyone angrier and causes the division in this country to become greater, that follows the worst lessons in American history. If we follow the best ones, we could make this a moment that improves our country.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.